Hello there, and welcome once again to my little arty corner of YouTube, of the internet really. It's Sunday morning. Looks like it's going to be quite a nice sunny day here in the valleys of South Wales. Whether I'll get out is a different matter because I really do need to get templates drawn for a colouring book. But I did want to take some time out for art for myself. I've done a fair bit overnight, in fairness, on another drawing because I didn't sleep well. I woke up frequently in the middle of the night and yeah, couldn't get back to sleep. Overly hot, even though it's really quite cool out, and so on. Oh, age doesn't come by itself. So yesterday I drew a couple of these with you, this one and this one. Today I thought I'd have a start by having a look at this particular one up here, where it's almost like you've got a look at the edge on, so you're looking down the trumpet almost. So let's see if I can draw something like that. So it's just an oval shape. I'm doing this in pencil, which you probably can't see, but I do want to imagine where this kind of trumpet would go. You might be able to see, especially if I put the light on, perhaps. Yeah, possibly. And I'm just going to map out where this would be. Now I know for you Zentanglers out there that the thought of using a pencil to draw things, I'm not happy with that. So this is the reason why we draw things and what I'll do is I'll just add the stem in. Yeah, I haven't really got my head around that. I think I need this whole thing to be a lot bigger, but we'll see. So I'm going to draw this with not a perfect circle because there is no need for that, and then adjust my position of this, and then I'm just going to add some of my weirdy stems, I suppose, because I can, for no other reason. It also gives more space for colouring. Right, I do need to carry on, stems are lying down, because I can be really fussy about me and how things are drawn, and it all comes down to the work for colouring books, is that I need to be sure that things look right, that are in proportion. And everything's fine if I'm drawing things that are more abstract, which a lot of my work is, or as Zentangle say, non-representational, abstract art. Stylized art is also abstract in its way. And so I'm comfortable in using pencils and so on. Now my flower at the top there is rather small and pathetic compared to the thickness of the stem. So what can I do to make that a bit better? I don't know whether I can actually, other than perhaps to draw a second one by the side that is perhaps a lot bigger. And again, I'm going to give myself a stem. This one will bend a little, not too much at the top though, because otherwise it doesn't look like it joins where that would. Where it would join the base of this trumpety shape. So this stem will end up looking a bit like bamboo, I think, but I'm happy with that. Chunky stems, sturdy stems, to make sure flowers don't get blown over in the wind and damaged. Actually, these remind me a bit of Hundterwasser, who was an artist sculptor, Austrian I think he was, and his buildings, very few, you know, very minimal use of straight line and really unusual shapes and things. If I remember, I'll put his name in the link so you can have a look. And I really like it, bright colours often, although I have seen some buildings that are earthier in colour, but there's still these flashes of blue amongst the brown, if I remember rightly, and the use of black and white, things like that. Very heavy on the graphic elements of all of this. So I want this to appear as if these are going into a down into the middle, but also I want this feeling of this part curving over. And the way I'm going to do that is by using lines to follow the contour, and also the basic premise in art that, you know, as things get closer to you, they get wider or bigger, and further away they go closer together or smaller. So that's what I've done here. Because I overlapped, I've made a shadow here, so this will actually really, now I could extend these down into the space there, but I don't want to, because I would rather like with this one to put something there that's perhaps a bit, you know, a bit decorative, which would be quite nice, I think. And by using, again, thickness of line, I say again, by using thickness of line, I'm giving that appearance of depth to the design. So let's have a look. Let's do this one as well. This is reminiscent of a Zentangle pattern. Is it pepper? There's a couple of them that are quite similar. I'm not a walking encyclopedia of Zentangle patterns, but there's quite a few of them that use lines like this. I'm not sure if this kind of widening of them is as exaggerated. I think the more you exaggerate it, the more that curve appears, and of course these lines do need to be curved. So we've got this one, and again I'm going to do something here, and I think what I'm going to do is put some tiny petals in there. Because I think that'd look quite cute. Now then, how am I going to manage to draw this one? Because this is a variation. It's like these have opened out and you can see the centre. But how would you draw it on the side? I think the best thing I can do is to get the centre drawn, and then sense of a spikiness there, or that this area coming down to a tube, and then perhaps drawing this around. Now let's make it nice and big. That perhaps needs to be just that little bit. Yeah, that'll work, because this is curling down. This side at the back would be a lot smaller. I don't know if you can see, but we'll see now. is that I'll draw the outside of that in, and then here is where I'm going to have this central shape. So if you imagine it like a trumpet opening out and flaring out at the top really big, where's flaring out a lot at the top, you know, so it's quite big. That's the word I was looking for. Bigly, God's sakes. Then I can do this and I can add my stem here. Oh, I bet you thought I was going to do a traditional kind of stem there. Oh no, I want my knobbly bits. Like knobbly knees. Knobbly and bobbly. Far more interesting than a straight stem. Now then, this is where I'm going to try to get, this is going to be an interesting experiment, because I've got that centre here, and what I want to do is I want my those stripy bits that would flare up and out to do just that. But it's more complicated because I want them to disappear down that hole, and that means that it's going to become quite interesting for these ones here. But these are the ones that I will use their shapes to help to create the edge of that hole as well. I'm not sure if that works. I think it does. I'm not going to be able to get a second one over, another one over there, but I may be able to. That's okay. And that's okay there. A bit more complicated. But I hope it makes some kind of, yeah, that really does need. So it's almost like an L shape or a J shape, where you have a straight line and then it curves, except here it doesn't go as curvy as it goes almost, it is more like an L with a straighter line. And where I've drawn that circle in the middle is where the angle changes. I've done it as quite a curvy change. You could do it sharp. Wouldn't look quite so botanical in form, but it would work. So if I take the pencil lines out, I do pencils, and that's why I like pencils. We allow for adjustments and to get things the right shape, because even though these are stylized, I still want them to look like the flowers that they are, really. Okay. Now then, colour. I'm going to use Graphitints again, because essentially I can. Oh, what was that? Oh, one of my Graphitints fell out on the way. Okay, so let me go with I'm going to use a different colour. I'm going to use dark indigo, because on this one, this would really work. Because the base of these need to be a lot darker than the edges. And here I am colouring what I left white in these. I'm adding colour to them here. Because I can see a lot more of these stripes, I'm going to add a lot more colour to these. Oh, what have I done wrong here? I don't know. I've missed somewhere. Oh, I know what I've done. I've done that one, haven't I? Okay. I'll be fine. I'll work it. Looks like I'm adding colour to it all instead of leaving white stripes, but that's fine because I can put the white in with a gel pen later on. Oh, happy days. There we go. So the problem with, yes, early morning drawing and art and drawing on off the cuff. I haven't practiced these, by the way. This is just what I know from having drawn things like this in the past. So I haven't got a piece of paper with how I've done this and how I've worked it out. It's just through my experience of drawing flowers and shapes over years of art, I suppose. But even when it seems that we've made a horrible mess, it'll work itself through, I'm sure, because that's the nature of art. Perhaps this flower was meant to be this way. And of course, once I decide which areas I want to be darker, I can go back and add more colour if I want. And as I've shown you before, if I want to lift colour up, then with water reactive media, I need my tissue here. I did have one. Goodness knows what I've done with it. As I've shown before, by wetting the medium and using some kitchen towel or similar, you can lift up some of the colour to lighten it as well. So, same with any reactive medium. The distress inks that I've used to colour the page will be adding their colour to whatever I put on as well, because they're water reactive. Again, I'm trying to remember to go from light to dark and keep an area without too much colour in the middle for that highlight. That helps with the illusion of volume, depth, dimension. So many words for it. It's quite a nice time of year to be drawing summer flowers with the seasons changing here, and to winter here. We're into autumn, and won't be long before it's full winter. But then it's not so long then. Each day it's closer to when. I'm just going to pick a bit of colour up with that. And that I can go back on this and add more colour once it's dry. I'm not going to do it while it's wet, because I get a lot more of this pencil laid down than I'd like. But does that work? Oh yeah. The colour adds to it so much. You could get the same kind of thing going with graphite and a tortillon. I'm just in the mood for colour these days. So what about the other ones then? They're going to be a bit easier for me to add colour to. So I'm just having a look to see what colour I want to add. This is an interesting colour. It's called Storm. It looks kind of brown, and it is, but it's sort of like a pinky brown. With this, I'm going to make these areas closest to this central bit the darkest. And then I will add a hint of colour around the outside as well, just a hint, just to give that feeling of these curling under and perhaps being a little bit more in shadow. The top ones I'm not going, perhaps just a hint, but I don't really want to. Here I want some there and here because that'll be in shadow. And I need to go back and add the shadow there for this particular flower as well. Again, it's just, I'm going to take the tiniest bit of colour from the edge and move it out. Same here. Just enough so I don't have a huge line where I'm taking some of this colour and dabbing it down just to give a more interesting edge, perhaps, because that works for me as well. So while it's still wet, you can do that. Is that drop little bits of colour in and it creates a texture. Okay, let's do that. Just move that back. Get all of that activated and moving, and then just add some colour there. It's very subtle, but it helps to break any lines up between a darker area of colour and a lighter one. And it's that kind of effect, effect is sort of what I like to use in digital brushes when I'm colouring from time to time. I'm doing digital colouring, which obviously I'm not here, but be fine. There's a bit of colour here as well. Just move that one out a bit and this one as well, and just make them neat. I'm guessing if I had just plain coloured, plain white paper here, that it would be a lot in some ways it's a lot easier to work with, because I've got the to avoid that line, but I have to make the whole area of the petal here wet because of the distress ink on the background. Because distress ink's always water reactive, and as soon as I dampen the edge, I get an edge of the distress ink as well. It changes the look of it compared to the background, so it's the last thing I want is, that to appear there. But that's because I do things like colour my paper, because I like to work on coloured paper with things like this. I also find that on days when perhaps I don't know what to do, or I'm a bit overwhelmed by a blank page, just adding some colour to the page breaks up that area of white and gives me something to start with, because there are I don't colour the page evenly with distress ink. I allow there to be areas of darker colour, lighter colour. It's not always very noticeable, it depends on what the colour is. If I show you this page, even the stencil patterns that are there, they give me places to start from and work from, so I can work with what is on that page in terms of colour and the density of colour, and use that to help guide what I draw or where I draw things, to make use of that. So it gives me that something to start from on days when perhaps I don't know what to do. So I'm not going to colour in the stems and do those, but I will do this other flower, or this one here, because I do have these sections in between. See this storm, it looks brown, but it's sort of like, I don't know, it's a purpley, reddy, I don't know what kind of colour it is. I don't know what the best way to describe it is. I don't want to use juniper. Cold grey could be quite nice there. I think so. So I'm just going to add hints of grey at the bottom here for these, just so they appear to be that little bit in shadow as well around the edge. And then I'm going to also add that shadow around here as well while I'm at it, before I forget. And here I need to do that one there. I'm being, sort of like I'm using the colour and the shade as part of the pattern, I think. but I'm also thinking about how big an area of shade or highlight I would want here. Because there are places where, you know, these tips here, I'd hardly need any shadow at all, because I think in my mind a lot of those would be still in light. So I just want to make sure. Yeah, to those, and I just need to drag those out just a little so they're not so stark. And I could go back and add more there because that's quite pale as far as shadows are concerned. Okay, I'll leave that colour out so I know which one I use. I'm heading for a different colour. Oh, Mountain Grey is a nice one as well. So for this one, let me have a look. With graphic tints, you're not going to get the bright, vibrant colours you'd normally see in flowers. They're much more muted. And I, for one, I'm cool with that here, because I'm not drawing flowers, as realistic flowers. I'm drawing them in a way that makes sense. Here I'm using plenty of different colours because I can. It's interesting. Mountain Grey, and it has gone quite a browny colour. Best not to ask is my mantra about things like this. But if this was artwork that I was doing as a finished drawing, I suppose, then I would actually only use one or two colours, I think, or shades of colour, just to keep everything coherent. I work far better. I feel happier with what I produce when I'm working with a limited number of colours, almost to the point of monochrome in some ways. Perhaps two different colours works okay. Well, that's interesting, because now it's going to this, so I'm guessing that it's picked up colour from another pencil in the pot, which is fine. There you are, that's more the Mountain Grey I expected. But it's okay. In fact, it's added some interest, I think. There we go. Odd coloured flower, which I'd never be able to, well, I would be able to replicate, because that, I thought that looks like the autumn brown. I'm thinking, what's that doing on there? But it's fine, it works. I think it works anyway. And have a look. Keep looking for. I'm going to add cocoa here, which is a brown. And as dark as it looks, since I have water, it will lighten up in colour, and as I spread it out as well. Now this one, I haven't put any darker edges on this. I'm just taking this and just spreading out to hopefully almost nothing. Can't guarantee it is almost nothing, mind you. That's a really dark centre around there, isn't it? It is. And I'm going to add cocoa right to the middle there. I was going to put it there, but I'm not. Teasing it out a little bit, but trying to keep that really dark in the middle. It's going to end up all one colour, I think, but that's fine if that's what happens. Angela's mantra: let it dry. It'll be fine, just let it dry. Here, up here is going to be the darkest. Down here will be the darkest, and in there will be the darkest. So I've just done that with the storm, so it's the same colour as the larger bits of petals, and I'm just using the colour to bring out where the lightest bits would be in each of these layers. I'm going to have to add more to that central bit because I've washed the colour out now. But up here I'll keep it nice and dark, so that gives me that appearance that the middle bit is lifting up. And on these ones, because I don't really have a yellow, there isn't a yellow in the Graphy Tint range. So yes, I could get other colours, but I'm going to add, that's Meadow, which is this green over here, which I think will do nicely just as a counterpoint to the other colours, and we'll show that particular pattern there of things that almost look like petals in the middle. I think that'll work. Okay, now then, I did want to darken these areas, so where's that indigo? Okay. I could do it with a different colour, but I'm not going to. I'm going to stick with this and keep this pretty monochrome. And I am just going to make sure that it's that area at the back that's the darkest, and I'm going to try to keep it mostly around this edge as well. So I'm putting that edge in first and then dragging the colour all the way down into that centre, and that just intensifies the look of having a bit of a hollow there. So that is me done with this for now on video. I may do some other things here before I turn my attention to drawing templates. I'm not really sure yet, because I dug these are fab. These are zebra sarasas, and they're all in vintage colours. They're 0.5mm ball, which means they have a really fine line. It was probably, I don't know what it's equivalent to, 0.1, 0.2, perhaps 0.3 micron. But the colours are fabulous, and they're great for drawing with. And they're also waterproof when they're dry, so it means I can use water-soluble colour with them. And the vintage colours are my favourites, and they're a lovely, lovely palette. Arteza do a similar pack, similar colours, but their ballpoint pen is 0.7. The gel pen is their 0.7, so thicker line. The colours aren't as saturated, but they work just as well. They're still waterproof once dry, and they're fab. Now then, I said I wasn't going to do any more, but I think I may. I've got this one, which is a nice blue colour. Yeah, see, I'm always worried about messing things up when I think, oh, I'll try this, but let's have a look. That is quite sympathetic with the colour. Sympathetic, I don't know if that's the right word, but where they work nicely together. Harmonious perhaps would be better. So I'm just adding some of that. I think I have messed it up. I think I'd want to draw separately with these on their own, to be honest. But there you are. Yeah. Just try things out and see what happens. I'm much happier drawing this way instead of this, and I'm much happier putting pencil lines in first, like I did here, so that I get that just feels kind of clumsy. I haven't got the angle correct, and it just doesn't feel right to me, whereas this one has got a much nicer feel. So I hope that has inspired you, or helped you, or shown you some things perhaps you didn't know, or showed you things you did know but in a different way. And I'd like to say thank you for joining me once again. And I hope to see you here again. And thank you for everybody who subscribed. I appreciate it so much. And for those who've liked the videos, you're fab. And for the lovely comments that are left, especially from people saying how much they're enjoying drawing along with me and how I've inspired people to draw again or to try different things out. It's really nice that I'm making a positive difference to people, so thank you so much. Take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your day, and please find time to be creative. Until we meet again, take care. Bye-bye.